The old records of the Holy Land would later mark these days as a quiet prelude to calamity. Chu Feng and Xian Miaomiao have uncovered the Dark Hall's scheme to release the ancient era's ferocious beasts, while Lil Red has led them to the precious ancient era's immortal flowers. But their brief moment of fortune ends when the terrifying YinYang Immortal arrives, and now Chu Feng's life hangs on a contest of world spirit techniques. The tea has barely stopped steaming, yet the storyteller's old scrolls are already being opened again. Exclamation, pull up a chair. Fellow travelers of the jianghu. Tonight's tale has everything from mischievous little insects and ancient treasures to a terrifying old immortal who clearly woke up intending to ruin someone's day. Let us see whether Chu Feng can turn a deadly trap into another legend. The instant the 10 Dark Hall experts collapse, the forest seemed to fall into a strange, suffocating silence. Xian Miaomiao stared at the scene before her, shock written across her face.
What happened to those people?
Chu Feng did not answer immediately. His expression had already turned grave. As a world spiritist, he understood far more clearly than Miaomiao what had just occurred. The Dark Hall members had been implanted with a terrifying self-destruction restriction. If someone forcibly removed their masks, or if they revealed information, they were forbidden to speak. That hidden restriction would instantly activate and take their lives. What truly disturbed Chu Feng was not the existence of the restriction itself. He had already suppressed those men with both oppressive might and a spirit formation, yet the hidden power had still activated beyond his control. That could only mean one thing. Somewhere within the Dark Hall stood a world spiritist, whose methods surpassed Chu Feng's by a considerable margin. The enemy's hidden foundation was deeper than anything he had encountered here so far. Xian Miaomiao approached with Lil Red in her hand, her earlier astonishment giving way to concern.
Chu Feng, what exactly were they doing here?
Chu Feng began examining the surrounding land with extreme care. He wanted to know what the Dark Hall had been trying to release, with an unsealing formation powerful enough to demand the lives of the royal spirit insects. Yet he deliberately restrained his investigation. The blood-devouring killing formation was connected to ancient era's ferocious beasts, and Chu Feng could not dismiss the possibility that something monstrous was imprisoned beneath their feet. The moment he had seen the Dark Hall's unsealing formation, that possibility had already entered his mind. If the enemy truly intended to free those ancient era creatures, then this was no ordinary secret operation. It was a calamity waiting for the correct moment to erupt. After carefully tracing the formation beneath the ground, Chu Feng's brows tightened even further.
This is bad.
He turned toward Xian Miaomiao.
Miaomiao, do you know the exact location where the ancient era's ferocious beasts are sealed?
No, I don't. What did you discover?
Beneath this formation lies the core of another formation. If my judgment is correct, the formation below us is connected to the seal, suppressing the ancient era's ferocious beasts. I can confirm that the core underneath is part of a sealing formation. That means your earlier suspicion was probably right. Something terrifying really is imprisoned here, and it is very likely those ancient era's ferocious beasts. The problem is that the formation core lies too deep. I cannot determine the beast's exact seal location. But one thing is certain, the Dark Hall built this formation because they intend to release whatever is imprisoned below.
Xian Miaomiao's expression changed instantly. The scattered clues had finally converged into a terrifying answer.
Then it must be the ancient era's ferocious beasts. This must be one of the places where they are sealed. The Dark Hall actually intends to unleash them. How can they be so wicked? I have to return and report this immediately.
Chu Feng immediately noticed the contradiction.
Report it? Didn't you tell me the ancient era's elves always keep people stationed here?
They do, but my royal father recently transferred away many troops. The forces guarding this region are much weaker than before. If those ferocious beasts are released now, the elves stationed here won't have enough strength to stop them.
Chu Feng's gaze sharpened.
Your royal father moved those troops because he was searching for the Dark Hall, didn't he?
Yes.
A chill swept through Chu Feng's thoughts. In that instant, the enemy's plan became frighteningly clear.
Damn it, he fell into their trap.
The Dark Hall evidently knew the secret guarded by the ancient era's elves. By drawing the elf kingdom's forces away under the pretext of being hunted, they had weakened the very defenses protecting these sealed dangers. Their disappearance had not been retreated, had been bait.
Then I have to warn them right now.
She was about to leave when Chu Feng stopped her.
I'm afraid we're already too late.
Miaomiao froze. If the Dark Hall had prepared this far in advance, then returning to the Elf Kingdom, reporting the discovery, and waiting for troops to mobilize, could consume time they simply did not possess.
Then, what are we supposed to do?
If there's no longer enough time to change their deployment, then we should seize what time remains and accomplish what we came here to do.
You mean, continue searching for the ancient era's immortal flowers?
Exactly. Otherwise, everything we endured to reach this place will have been for nothing.
But those flowers are incredibly difficult to locate. And now that the Dark Hall has experts moving through this place, staying here has become far more dangerous.
Her concern was exactly the same danger weighing on Chu Feng's mind. The formation operated by the 10 Dark Hall experts alone had been the work of a Dragon Mark Royal Cloak World Spiritist. That detail proved that the Dark Hall had dispatched forces of extraordinary quality into this region. Those 10 men had each been ranked 4 martial emperors. In the holy land of martialism, cultivators at that level were already terrifying existences. Even the utmost exalted elders of the 4 great imperial clans were only rank 4 martial emperors. Experts of that realm could shake an entire region merely by making a move. And yet Chu Feng suspected those 10 rank 4 martial emperors were merely minor pieces among the forces the Dark Hall had sent. If that judgment was correct, then the true experts hidden deeper inside this land were far more dangerous than the enemies he had already slain. At that moment, Lil Red, who had remained unusually quiet for a long while, suddenly spoke.
I know where the ancient era's immortal flowers are. I can take both of you there.
Miaomiao's eyes immediately turned cold. Although Lil Red had just lost its entire clan, she had not forgotten how it had deceived them before.
You're still trying to trick us?
I'm not lying this time. I really know where they are, and I can lead you there. But even if you find them, you might not be able to take them.
Lil Red was calmer than before, but its spirit remained crushed by what had happened to its people. There was none of its earlier liveliness in its manner. Chu Feng chose not to condemn it for the past.
Lil Red, if you truly know where the ancient era's immortal flowers are, lead us there.
Lil Red transformed into a streak of crimson light and shot toward the distance.
Wait!
Lil Red immediately returned, its expression turning uneasy.
What's wrong? Great, sir. I'm really not deceiving you this time.
A faint smile appeared at the corners of Chu Feng's mouth.
I believe you, but we can't simply leave this place as it is.
Chu Feng turned back toward the Dark Hall's formation. Although the ceiling structure buried below was only one part of a much greater network, leaving the enemy's unsealing formation intact would only make their task easier. Without hesitation, he destroyed the unsealing formation the Dark Hall experts had been operating. This was a small action compared with the scale of the Dark Hall's conspiracy, but strategically it mattered. Chu Feng could not reinforce the entire seal or summon the Elf Kingdom's army in time, so he did what he could, deny the enemy immediate progress, and conceal the disruption for as long as possible. After destroying the enemy formation, Chu Feng constructed another spirit formation over the same location. This new formation possessed little practical power. Its purpose was deception. From the outside, everything appeared unchanged. The Dark Hall's unsealing formation still seemed to be operating, and the 10 rank 4 martial emperors appeared to remain at their positions, controlling it exactly as before. But it was nothing more than an illusion created by Chu Feng's world spirit techniques. The 10 Dark Hall experts were dead, and the real unsealing formation had already been destroyed.
All right, Lil Red, lead the way.
Got it.
Once again, Lil Red became a streak of red light, racing forward as Chu Feng and Xian Miaomiao followed. Its astonishing speed did not escape Chu Feng's attention. The more he watched Lil Red, the more certain he became that this tiny creature was anything but ordinary. Lil Red itself was remarkably powerful and possessed abilities that made it extremely unusual. Yet the royal spirit insect race it supposedly belonged to had shown nothing resembling that same strength. Its clansmen had been wiped out by the 10 rank 4 martial emperors, and from what Chu Feng had observed of their remains, their bodies also differed from Lil Red's. A suspicion quietly formed in Chu Feng's heart. Perhaps Lil Red was not truly an ordinary royal spirit insect at all, and even if it belonged to that race, it was very likely some kind of exceptional variant. Its speed, strength, and differences from its clansmen were becoming increasingly difficult to dismiss as coincidence. Under Lil Red's guidance, the 3 traveled for an entire day before a massive mountain finally appeared before them. Lil Red stopped and pointed toward an almost insignificant crack running through the mountain.
We're here. They're inside that crack.
Xian Miaomiao immediately focused her senses toward the mountain. An instant later, delight burst across her face.
They're really there. I can sense the aura of the ancient era's immortal flowers. Let's go inside.
For once, Lil Red had told them the complete truth.
See? I wasn't deceiving you, but I already warned you. The ancient era's immortal flowers aren't easy to obtain. I can enter, but I can't bring the flowers back out.
Miaomiao's excitement immediately faded into a frown. The mountain looked ordinary from the outside, yet its substance was unbelievably tough. Even with her cultivation, she could not simply carve open a passage. Worse still, the crack Lil Red indicated was so narrow that only a creature of its tiny size could pass through. Xian Miaomiao could also sense another power hidden within the mountain, a protective force guarding the ancient era's immortal flowers themselves.
If those flowers could simply be carried outside, my clan would have taken them long ago. Why would they still be sitting inside the mountain?
The words struck directly at the cruel reality before them. After searching so long, enduring danger, and finally reaching their objective, the treasure they needed was now only a short distance away, and yet that final distance seemed impossible to cross.
Don't tell me that after finally finding the ancient era's immortal flowers, we still can't obtain them.
For Xian Miaomiao, this was perhaps even more frustrating than never discovering the flowers at all. The goal was now visible, its aura unmistakable, yet an ancient barrier stood between desire and possession. And with the Dark Hall's conspiracy unfolding elsewhere, every moment spent before this mountain carried even greater weight. The oppressive silence inside the ancient mountain finally broke when Chu Feng stepped forward. The stone walls before them had resisted every attempt, yet his gaze remained calm, as though he had already begun searching for the hidden weakness buried within that mysterious power.
Let me have a look.
Xian Miaomiao's eyes immediately brightened. Her frustration had been so great that she had momentarily forgotten one crucial fact: Chu Feng was no ordinary cultivator. He was also an extraordinary world spiritist.
You?
Lil Red stared at him with obvious disdain. If even it could do nothing against this place, it naturally found it difficult to believe that Chu Feng could overturn the situation.
The rock walls here are extraordinarily solid because a special power is protecting them. It isn't world spirit power, but I can still try using world spirit techniques to unravel it.
That power comes from the ancient era's immortal flowers. The more flowers gathered together, the stronger their protective power becomes. There are so many here that the protection has become exceptionally powerful.
Leave it to me.
Chu Feng smiled and immediately began his preparations. Yet this time, his method was unlike his usual formation techniques. Before constructing the formation itself, he reached into his cosmos sack and brought out 8 banners. Each banner bore a different color. Strange runes and symbols covered their surfaces, and within those markings lingered a peculiar power. Chu Feng planted all 8 into the ground around him, forming a ring. World spirit power extended from him like invisible threads, connecting one banner to the next. Once the 8 treasures were linked, Chu Feng sat at their center and began constructing the true formation. Those 8 banners were not decorative tools. They were precious treasures meant specifically for world spiritists, obtained from the possessions of the avaricious immortal. Without them, breaking the strange protective force surrounding the immortal flowers would have been exceedingly difficult. With them, Chu Feng judged his chance of success to be roughly 80%. This was not reckless confidence. It was preparation turning an impossible obstacle into a calculated risk. Then his hands moved. Faster and faster, his fingers blurred until individual movements could no longer be distinguished. At the same time, vast quantities of world spirit power surged from his body, transforming into streams of brilliant golden radiance that resembled dragons rushing through the air. Those golden currents poured into the growing formation. Light spread across the cavern, illuminating the ancient stone and the 8 mysterious banners, until the entire scene appeared majestic and almost otherworldly.
Beauty! Beauty! What is Great Sir doing? Are those world spirit techniques? Could Great Sir actually be a world spiritist?
Lil Red's earlier disdain had already begun to crumble. Even someone as proud as it could recognize that the formation before its eyes was far from ordinary.
That's right. Chu Feng is a world spiritist. Lil Red, you actually know about world spiritists?
Miaomiao was genuinely surprised. Lil Red had lived isolated from the outside world, yet its knowledge seemed far broader than one would expect.
Of course! We royal spirit insects are always hardworking and eager to learn, and I am the greatest representative of hardworking and eager to learn. So I don't know anything. No, no, no! I mean, I know everything! I am extremely intelligent, extremely powerful.
Lil Red proudly raised its tiny head. Yet before its boasting could continue, the atmosphere surrounding Chu Feng abruptly changed.
Break!
One of the 8 banners tore free from the formation. Carrying an immense surge of power, it shot toward the section of mountain wall indicated by Chu Feng. But there was no violent collision, no shattered stone, no explosion. The banner passed directly into the mountain wall, as though the solid rock had suddenly become intangible. Visible ripples began spreading through the stone. Layer after layer of mysterious power distorted, weakened, and slowly dissipated.
Break, 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 break.
7 commands thundered out in succession. The remaining 7 banners answered him one after another, disappearing into the mountain wall and attacking the hidden protective power from within. Then Chu Feng suddenly rose from the ground. The enormous formation centered upon him rose as well. His long hair drifted through the radiant currents of energy. His robes fluttered around him, and for that brief moment, his figure stood within the golden light with an extraordinary, commanding presence. The 8 banners had already infiltrated the defense. Now Chu Feng was no longer trying to overpower the mountain from the outside. He had dismantled its protection piece by piece, creating the opening needed for one decisive strike. For a world spiritist, precision could be far more terrifying than raw destructive force. Chu Feng suddenly clasped his palms together and interlocked his fingers. The vast formation contracted at once, shrinking rapidly, until all of its radiance flowed directly back into his body. The next instant, he aimed his crossed fingers toward the place where the 8 banners had vanished.
Split.
A concentrated beam of golden light erupted from his fingertips. Sharp as a divine sword, it pierced straight into the mountain. The mountain answered with a deafening roar. Explosions erupted through the stone. Fragments crashed down, and the wall that had seemed indestructible finally split open under Chu Feng's formation. But breaking the rock was only part of his success. The mysterious power protecting the ancient era's immortal flowers had been broken as well. And at last, the treasures hidden behind that ancient barrier appeared before Chu Feng, Miaomiao, and Lil Red. The ancient era's immortal flowers did not resemble ordinary blossoms. Each appeared almost like a soft mass of mist, woven from countless strands of silk, mysterious and ethereal, as though condensed from the very essence of nature. With only a single glance, Chu Feng understood how extraordinary they were. The natural energy contained inside them was astonishing. For Chu Feng, who was currently a rank 1 martial emperor, the temptation was very real. If he could refine all of the ancient era's immortal flowers gathered here, there was even a possibility that the immense energy would allow him to advance to rank 2 martial emperor. In the cultivation world, an opportunity capable of pushing someone across an entire realm was enough to make countless experts fight desperately for possession of it. Yet the thought lasted only as a thought. Chu Feng did not reach for the flowers. They belonged to Miaomiao, and he had no intention of taking them for himself. That restraint reveals something important about Chu Feng here. The treasure could directly benefit his cultivation, yet he never allowed personal gain to erase the reason he had come. In a world where strength often decides ownership, choosing not to seize an opportunity can say as much about a cultivator as winning a battle.
Wow, great sir. Your world spirit techniques are actually this powerful? You even broke the power protecting this place?
Lil Red's mouth hung open. The contempt from earlier had completely disappeared, replaced by genuine disbelief. Miaomiao was even less restrained. Filled with joy, she immediately entered the newly opened mountain cave and carefully began collecting the ancient era's immortal flowers she had longed for day and night. Chu Feng remained outside instead of joining her. He simply watched as she gathered the precious treasures she had worked so hard to reach. But the happiness did not last. Miaomiao suddenly stopped harvesting. The smile on her face vanished, replaced by visible distress. Chu Feng immediately noticed the change and stepped toward her.
Miaomiao, what's wrong?
I can only take away part of the ancient era's immortal flowers. I can't bring the rest with me.
She pointed toward several dozen distant clusters. Chu Feng followed her gaze and quickly understood the problem.
They've already dissolved into this place. What a pity.
Those ancient era's immortal flowers had somehow deteriorated. Their forms remained, but their condition was already damaged beyond ordinary harvesting. It was like discovering a grove filled with priceless fruit, only to realize that many of the fruits had already spoiled. The intact flowers could still be carried away. The dissolved ones could not. Worse still, the damaged flowers were more numerous than those that remained intact. After finally reaching the treasure she had desired for so long, Miaomiao could only watch most of it slipping beyond her grasp. Yet Chu Feng studied the dissolved flowers carefully. To others they might have been useless, but to a skilled world spiritist, scattered energy did not necessarily mean completely lost energy.
Miaomiao, although those ancient era's immortal flowers have already dissolved, I have a method to gather part of their energy. You can refine that energy here.
Chu Feng, is that really possible?
Her expression transformed instantly. The disappointment that had clouded her face was swept aside by sudden hope, as though a path had appeared where moments earlier there had only been a dead end.
Why would I lie to you?
Rather than asking her to simply trust his words, Chu Feng immediately began constructing another spirit formation. His purpose this time was not to destroy a barrier, but to gather the dispersed energy remaining within the damaged immortal flowers, and make that energy available for Miaomiao to refine. This was another demonstration of why world spirit techniques could change the value of an opportunity. To an ordinary cultivator, the dissolved flowers were already ruined. To Chu Feng, some of their power could still be salvaged. Knowledge had effectively transformed waste back into cultivation resources. But Miaomiao's happiness soon mixed with concern. She knew how many ancient era's immortal flowers were gathered in the cavern, and refining so much energy could not possibly be completed instantly.
But Chu Feng, there are so many ancient era's immortal flowers here. Even if I refine them directly, it will still take time. This place is dangerous right now. Are you sure?
She was moved by what he was doing, yet precisely because she understood the danger, she could not help worrying about what might happen while she was occupied with cultivation. Chu Feng merely smiled.
It's all right. Don't worry. Just concentrate on refining them. I'll guard this place. I guarantee that before you finish refining all of the ancient era's immortal flowers, no one will disturb you.
Those words carried more weight than a simple promise. Miaomiao would have to devote herself to refinement, leaving Chu Feng to face whatever danger might arise. He was effectively placing himself between her and the unknown, so that she could seize the opportunity without hesitation. Miaomiao stared at his smiling face and suddenly froze. Warmth spread through her heart, yet the feeling was so intense that her nose began to sting slightly. After fighting through the ancient barrier and finding a way to salvage even the damaged flowers, Chu Feng now chose to stand guard rather than share in the reward. Perhaps the greatest treasure Miaomiao found inside this mountain was not merely the ancient era's immortal flowers, but the certainty that, at this moment, someone was willing to protect the opportunity she had struggled so desperately to obtain. Chapter 1922, Lil Red's Past. Within the depths of the blood-devouring killing formation, after danger and struggle had finally yielded a precious opportunity, the atmosphere around Chu Feng and Miaomiao briefly softened. Miaomiao looked at Chu Feng with glistening eyes. Warmth filled her heart, yet gratitude had become so heavy that even this carefree princess found it difficult to express.
Chu Feng, with how good you are to me, I truly do not know how to repay you.
Chu Feng naturally understood her gratitude, but rather than allow the mood to grow overly solemn, he deliberately answered with a joke.
How about you devote yourself to me so that I can become the son-in-law of the ancient era's elves?
The gratitude on Miaomiao's face vanished almost instantly. Her little lips curled, and her familiar mischievous temperament returned.
Sure. However, it won't be me. Instead, I'll marry my big sister to you.
If it's your sister, then we can forget about it. I am not fond of older women.
You actually dare to turn your back on my big sister? Watch as I tell her about it.
Don't. Take into consideration that I've helped you and spare me once.
Fine. I'll take into consideration the effort you've put into helping me and spare you this one time.
She planted her hands on her hips with exaggerated pride. Yet after that brief exchange, the playfulness faded. Something far more sincere surfaced in her eye.
Let's be serious. Chu Feng, I will not have you help me in vain. In the future, I will also help you.
Chu Feng immediately rejected the distance implied by those words. To him, friendship was not a transaction measured by favors owed and favors repaid. He had helped Miaomiao because he considered her a genuine friend, not because he expected compensation.
It's okay. Don't continue acting this way with me. This doesn't resemble your character. No matter what, I am your good friend that has been stabbed twice by you. Is there a need for you to distinguish things this thoroughly?
Miaomiao understood. Since Chu Feng disliked seeing her behave so formally, she abandoned the emotional mood completely. A wicked little smile appeared instead.
Okay then, since you do not like the emotional and corny me, I'll stab you twice again.
Her small hand slipped through an opening in Chu Feng's blood, devouring armor as she tried to tickle him. The solemn atmosphere shattered in an instant.
Hey, stop fooling around.
Ha ha ha! Never would I expect that a grand dragon mark royal cloak world spiritist would be ticklish too.
Chu Feng immediately fired back with an intentionally provocative joke. Miaomiao needed only a moment to understand his meaning, before embarrassment rushed across her face.
Damned rogue.
With that, she indignantly swaggered away. Yet the matter did not end there, because Lil Red had witnessed the entire exchange.
Hey, beauty! Why is Great Sir a rogue? He clearly didn't do anything to you, and it was you who was teasing him. Even if someone was causing trouble, shouldn't that person be you?
For once, Miaomiao had no answer. The longer she searched for an explanation, the redder her face became. Finally, unable to win with words, she grabbed Lil Red and began pulling at the little creature in retaliation.
Lil Red, you insolent thing. You actually dared to speak on his behalf. Do you want to live or not?
Beauty, spare me, I am with you.
Then why did you speak for him?
I was merely telling the truth. I was just being impartial.
I'll let you continue to be impartial. I'll let you continue to speak the truth.
I was wrong. Stop pulling me. I am not a rubber band. No!
The laughter and chaos eventually faded. Once Chu Feng gathered the dispersed energies, Miaomiao wasted no further time. Her playful expression disappeared, and she immediately began refining the energies of the ancient era's immortal flowers. Chu Feng and Lil Red then left the cave. Outside, Chu Feng did not simply stand guard. He spent half an entire day arranging an exceptionally powerful concealing formation, hiding both Miaomiao and the ancient era's immortal flowers from detection. This caution was not excessive. The Dark Hall was already plotting sinister actions inside the blood-devouring killing formation. In territory where hidden enemies could appear without warning, concealment itself was as important as raw combat strength. A world spiritist who could erase traces and mask an entire location possessed a strategic advantage that cultivation alone could not replace. More importantly, Chu Feng had personally promised the Elf King that he would protect Miaomiao. To Chu Feng, a promise was not empty courtesy. If danger came, even if he himself suffered the consequences, he would not allow anything to happen to her. Beside him, Lil Red watched the formation being completed with undisguised admiration.
Great Sir, how come your world spirit techniques are so powerful? They're simply omnipotent.
Lil Red, are you trying to flatter me?
Chu Feng had already discovered that Lil Red was remarkably quick-witted. After everything they had experienced together, the little creature was no longer wary of Chu Feng and Miaomiao. Instead, it had begun actively seeking their friendship.
Of course not. Of course not. I was merely speaking the truth.
Despite those words, Lil Red's expressive little face actually reddened from embarrassment, betraying the obvious flattery. Chu Feng smiled. He had noticed something else as well: the longing Lil Red showed whenever the outside world was mentioned.
Lil Red, do you wish to go to the holy land of martialism to see the monstrous beasts and spirit beasts, the sea and the mountains?
The effect was immediate. Lil Red's eyes seemed to brighten as excitement burst through every trace of its previous restraint.
I do. Great Sir, are you capable of taking me there?
Of course I can. Miaomiao is currently your master, and I am Miaomiao's good friend. As such, we are close friends. We are family. If you have any desires, you can tell them to Miaomiao and me. We will do our best to help you achieve them.
Those were not empty words. Chu Feng had known Lil Red only briefly, yet he deeply sympathized with the little creature. After learning that its clan had been exterminated, he wanted Lil Red to escape the shadow of that tragedy, rather than remain imprisoned by grief. Chu Feng's solution was simple but meaningful. Give Lil Red something that loss had taken away, a sense of belonging. Treasures could strengthen cultivation, and techniques could strengthen battle power, but neither could replace people willing to stand beside you. And this is where the seemingly comedic Lil Red suddenly becomes far more important. Behind all of its shameless jokes and quick tongue was a creature carrying wounds that had existed long before Chu Feng ever met it.
What?
To Chu Feng's surprise, Lil Red suddenly began crying.
I'm sorry.
Chu Feng immediately lifted Lil Red carefully into his hand, his earlier teasing replaced by concern.
Lil Red, what's wrong?
Great Sir is truly good to me, yet I cursed and insulted Great Sir before. I called Great Sir my grandson an idiot and a pig. Lil Red is truly sorry.
Chu Feng laughed. To him, those earlier insults had long since lost all significance.
Ha, so it was actually that? Didn't I also curse and insult you? Didn't I also beat you up? However, it could be said that we only became friends after fighting. As such, I will not blame you, and you should not blame me either.
Of course. Great Sir has treated me better than my father and mother. I will consider Great Sir as my relative.
That sentence caused Chu Feng's expression to change. Gratitude was understandable, but saying that someone met only recently had treated it better than its own parents revealed something much darker.
What? Your clansmen didn't treat you well?
That question finally opened a door Lil Red had kept shut for a very long time. Sitting before Chu Feng, the little royal spirit insect began revealing its past. Lil Red cared deeply about its clansmen, yet those very clansmen had never treated it with the same affection. Even the ones it called father and mother had treated Lil Red more like a servant than family. The royal spirit insects were a race that almost never separated. Whether searching for food or carrying out other tasks, they moved together as a collective. Acting alone was contrary to the way their entire clan lived. Yet Lil Red had always been alone. Not because Lil Red wished for solitude, but because the others had pushed it away. Strictly speaking, the royal spirit insects had never truly regarded Lil Red as one of their own. That revelation completely changes the meaning of Lil Red's attachment to Chu Feng and Xian Miaomiao. What looked like simple enthusiasm was actually the response of someone encountering sincere acceptance after a lifetime of rejection. The destruction of its clan was tragic, but Lil Red's loneliness had begun long before that catastrophe. And perhaps that is why Chu Feng's simple declaration, "We are family," struck harder than any treasure or world spirit technique. For Lil Red, those words offered something it had seemingly never possessed among its own people. Lil Red herself could not understand why the royal spirit insects had always treated her like an outsider. The more she thought about it, the stranger it seemed, because even among her own clansmen, she had always been an existence that did not quite belong. Her speed was the clearest proof. None of the royal spirit insects possessed anything comparable. She could freely pass through the energies, protecting the ancient era's immortal flowers, while every one of her clansmen was stopped outside. Yet there was an even more bizarre contradiction. The royal spirit insects possessed cultivation. Lil Red possessed none, despite being so fast that even her clan chief could not catch her. Not the slightest trace of cultivation existed within her. That contradiction was impossible to ignore. Lil Red shared the outward appearance of the royal spirit insects, Yet the very foundations of her existence were different from theirs. Her strange speed was not merely an unusual talent. It was evidence that the truth of her identity might be far more complicated. After hearing her story, Chu Feng's gaze softened. Something deep within him stirred, not from pity alone, but from an instinctive feeling of closeness. He wanted to protect this tiny creature. Because in Lil Red's experience, Chu Feng could see the shadow of his own past. Back when he had lived in the Chu family, Chu Feng had also endured rejection and cold eyes. But even then, he had possessed things Lil Red never had. His adoptive father had cared for him. His older brother had stood beside him, and his older sister Chu Yu had treated him sincerely. Lil Red had no such refuge. Not even the beings she called her parents had truly cherished her. They had only used her. In that sense, Lil Red's childhood had been even harsher than Chu Feng's. Yet what moved him most was not her suffering. It was the fact that despite everything the royal spirit insects had done to her, she still loved them. She had even been willing to die with them and seek vengeance for their deaths. Lil Red might have been shameless. She might have lied without blinking and acted despicably whenever it suited her. But beneath all of that, Chu Feng now understood one thing clearly. When it came to those she regarded as her own, Lil Red was fiercely loyal. After a moment of silence, Chu Feng finally spoke.
Lil Red, there is something I have to tell you. It may hurt to hear it, but I still think you need to know.
Lil Red immediately looked toward him. Instead of shrinking away, she flashed a wide smile. Her tiny black eyes narrowed into two crescent shapes, and for once, despite her strange appearance, she looked unexpectedly adorable.
Great, sir. Say whatever you want. Lil Red can endure it. After all, I grew up being bullied.
Chu Feng did not avoid the truth.
In my opinion, you are not a royal spirit insect, and precisely because you are not one of them, they always pushed you aside.
Lil Red froze.
Ah, great, sir. Why would you say that?
The possibility had clearly never crossed her mind, but that was hardly surprising. Within the blood-devouring killing formation, there were only two known kinds of living creatures. The first were the blood-devouring insects, creatures with only a low level of intelligence. The second were the royal spirit insects. Lil Red resembled the royal spirit insects almost perfectly in appearance. Naturally, she had spent her entire life believing she was one of them. But Chu Feng was increasingly certain that appearance alone had concealed the truth.
Think about everything you just told me. All of your clansmen were fundamentally alike, yet you were different in every important way. That alone is enough to show that you are probably not a royal spirit insect.
Lil Red did not collapse into sadness. Instead, curiosity immediately replaced her shock.
Then what am I?
I cannot determine that yet, but I believe you should be very powerful, far more powerful than ordinary royal spirit insects.
Chu Feng had another reason for speaking this way. If Lil Red could accept that she had never truly been a royal spirit insect, then perhaps the deaths of those who had mistreated her would become slightly easier to bear. He could not erase her grief, but he could give her a different way to understand it. The effect was immediate. Lil Red's earlier gloom vanished, and life returned to her tiny eyes.
Really?
Chu Feng smiled.
Even if Lil Red is a great liar, I am not.
Lil Red instantly became serious.
Great, sir. Lil Red will never lie to you again.
Then you must keep your word.
Pinky swear.
Lil Red raised her tiny tail toward him. Chu Feng could not help but smile as he extended a finger and solemnly hooked it around that little tail, completing their unusual promise. It was a small moment in a place filled with death, but that simple promise marked a change between them. Lil Red was no longer merely a strange creature traveling beside Chu Feng. A bond of trust had begun to form. Time continued to flow. In the blink of an eye, 3 full days passed. Yet during those 3 days, Chu Feng never truly relaxed. Every hour felt like standing on the edge of a blade. Even if the Dark Hall failed to discover their location, another disaster still hung above them. The ancient era's ferocious beasts could be released at any moment. Those beasts belonged to an ancient age, and knew only slaughter. If they broke free while Chu Feng and the others were still trapped in the region, the consequences would be terrifying. Chu Feng was therefore facing two separate threats at once. The Dark Hall represented intelligent enemies, capable of hunting and planning. The ancient era's ferocious beasts represented indiscriminate destruction. Escaping one danger would not necessarily save him from the other. Fortunately, Lil Red remained at his side. Mischievous, talkative, and impossible to predict, she somehow managed to ease much of the pressure weighing on Chu Feng's mind. Then, without warning, the world changed. A deep tremor passed through space itself. In the distance, enormous trees that towered toward the heavens began to sway violently, their crowns shaking beneath an unseen force. At the same instant, an extremely dangerous aura descended upon the region. Chu Feng's expression changed immediately. His instinct screamed that something was wrong. Without hesitation, he seized Lil Red in one hand and fixed his gaze upon the space ahead.
Who is it?
A sinister chuckle drifted through the air.
Tsk, tsk. This old man was wondering who could have killed 10 of my talented subordinates. So it was you after all, little friend Chu Feng.
A figure emerged from empty space. The instant Chu Feng recognized the newcomer, his brows tightened and unease surfaced in his eyes. It was the blackened, white-haired old man who had once attempted to kill him at the Xiamen Imperial clan. The enemy standing before Chu Feng was no ordinary Dark Hall expert. This was someone Chu Feng already knew to be overwhelmingly dangerous, and his appearance here meant the 10 Dark Hall experts Chu Feng had killed had finally drawn the attention of a far more terrifying existence.
You are the YinYang Immortal?
The old man's strange smile deepened.
So you managed to guess my identity?
He did not deny it. Instead, the YinYang Immortal began examining Chu Feng from head to toe. A moment later, genuine surprise appeared on his face.
You have actually become a rank 1 martial emperor already? Chu Feng, I must admit, you truly are an extraordinary talent.
But admiration did not soften the killing intent in his voice.
I am truly reluctant to kill a talent such as you. Unfortunately, you insisted on becoming an enemy of our Dark Hall. Therefore, you must die.
Chu Feng answered without lowering his head.
I was never the one who insisted on becoming your enemy. It is the Dark Hall that has chosen to oppose me at every turn.
The YinYang Immortal's expression turned contemptuous.
A turtle trapped inside a jar, yet you still dare to speak so arrogantly. Chu Feng, do you truly believe that becoming a rank 1 martial emperor makes you capable of contending against this old man?
Cold light flashed through the old man's eyes. Then his oppressive might erupted. It surged outward like an invisible storm, swallowing the entire region in a single breath. Crackling lightning instantly exploded around Chu Feng's body. His thunder armor manifested. Thunder wings unfurled behind him. His cultivation leapt from rank 1 martial emperor to rank 3 martial emperor. And yet, even after raising his battle power in an instant, Chu Feng was still forced backward again and again, beneath that crushing pressure. The difference in cultivation was mercilessly clear. Chu Feng could raise himself to rank 3 martial emperor through the power of his divine lightnings, but the YinYang Immortal stood at rank 6 martial emperor. This was not merely a gap of several ranks, it was a gulf large enough to suppress Chu Feng before a true exchange of techniques had even begun. Chu Feng understood the situation immediately. If he fought the YinYang Immortal head-on, victory was virtually impossible. But instead of wasting the moment, Chu Feng chose to probe his enemy.
YinYang Immortal, with your status as an immortal, why did you choose to serve the Dark Hall? What exactly have they offered you?
The YinYang Immortal answered without hesitation.
Benefits? Do you think gaining greater power and living even longer are not benefits?
His answer exposed something important. The YinYang Immortal was not speaking of loyalty, honor, or belief. The Dark Hall had gained his service through the oldest temptations in the cultivation world: greater strength and a longer life. Chu Feng pressed further.
Who exactly is the Dark Hall's Hall Master, and what is he planning to do?
The YinYang Immortal laughed.
Ha ha, already reduced to this state, and you still hope to extract answers from me. Little friend Chu Feng, you truly underestimate this old man. Right now, you are not even qualified to speak with me as an equal. Your little life is already in this old man's hands.
Thunder suddenly exploded across the heavens. Black clouds rolled in from every direction, swallowing the sky and plunging the land into darkness. At the same time, the YinYang Immortal's oppressive might grew even more terrifying. Within that pressure, Chu Feng felt something unmistakable. Death. His fists clenched until his knuckles tightened. The difference in strength was obvious. The danger was real, but surrendering without resistance had never been Chu Feng's way. Chu Feng's reasoning was brutally simple. Fighting might lead to death, but refusing to fight guaranteed it. When every safe road had disappeared, even the smallest possibility of survival was worth staking everything upon. Even knowing that he could not defeat the YinYang Immortal through ordinary means, Chu Feng prepared to give everything he had. And this was precisely what made the situation so dangerous. Chu Feng had survived stronger enemies before through judgment, hidden methods, and opportunities created in the midst of battle. But against a rank 6 martial emperor who already believed victory was certain, even creating that opportunity would be extraordinarily difficult. Seeing Chu Feng trembling beneath the weight of his oppressive might, the YinYang Immortal's eyes filled with satisfaction.
Sure enough, you really are weak.
But perhaps the YinYang Immortal's greatest mistake was already beginning to reveal itself. He saw Chu Feng being suppressed, and concluded that the battle had already been decided. Yet throughout Chu Feng's journey, the most dangerous moment for his enemies was often the moment they became convinced he had no path left. The killing pressure that had filled the space suddenly vanished. A moment earlier, the YinYang Immortal's oppressive might had seemed capable of crushing Chu Feng where he stood. Yet now, the old monster withdrew it completely, and a bright smile appeared upon his face, as though this confrontation had suddenly become nothing more than an amusing game.
Killing you like this would be far too boring. I'll give you a chance.
Chu Feng did not mistake that smile for mercy. Before him stood the YinYang Immortal, an expert whose strength and intentions were both dangerous. Whatever opportunity he offered would undoubtedly contain another layer of calculation.
What do you want?
Compete against me in world spirit techniques. Defeat me and I will release you. Lose and your life will belong to me. What do you say?
This was not merely a contest of skill. The YinYang Immortal already possessed the advantage in raw cultivation, and could have continued suppressing Chu Feng directly. By proposing a competition in world spirit techniques, he was choosing the battlefield upon which his pride was greatest, and where he clearly believed defeat was impossible.
What are we competing in?
Very simple.
With a casual sweep of his sleeve, the YinYang Immortal sent an object flying into his palm. It was only about the size of a hand, shaped somewhat like a lotus, and almost completely transparent. At first glance, it appeared so faint that an inattentive observer might overlook it entirely. Even under careful inspection, It seemed little more than an unusual translucent plant. But the instant Chu Feng focused upon it, surprise flashed through his eye. This was no ordinary flower. It was alive. More astonishingly, it possessed awareness. Hidden upon its strange body was a pair of eyes that wandered curiously around the surroundings, before settling upon Chu Feng, openly examining him in return.
Spirit Formation Flaw Finder Flower.
Chu Feng had learned of this extraordinary existence through the 9 spirits divine diagram. A spirit formation flaw finder flower was not born naturally. It was a special life form created through the combination of rare flowers and sophisticated world spirit techniques, a living product refined by a world spiritist. Its ability was equally remarkable. Once placed against a spirit formation, it could search for hidden weaknesses, loopholes, and imperfect points within that formation. Yet its effectiveness was never absolute. Everything depended upon the level of the world spiritist who had created it. If an immortal cloak world spiritist constructed a formation, while the flaw finder flower had only been refined by a royal cloak world spiritist, the difference in attainment would be too great. The flower might discover nothing at all if both creators stood within the royal cloak level. However, then the result would depend upon whose world spirit techniques were deeper, more refined, and more powerful. Chu Feng did not yet know the true depth of the YinYang Immortal's world spirit techniques, so he could not immediately judge just how formidable this particular spirit formation flaw finder flower might be. Even so, the fact that the YinYang Immortal had successfully refined one was enough to shock him. Chu Feng understood better than most how difficult such a creation was. Even with his own current attainment, he could not claim absolute certainty that he would successfully refine one. Seeing that surprise, the YinYang Immortal's eyes filled with unmistakable satisfaction.
Not bad to recognize my spirit formation flaw finder flower immediately. Your knowledge is indeed quite impressive. Since you recognize it, you should already understand its basic function. However, there is something you most likely do not know. When encountering spirit formations of different strength, a spirit formation flaw finder flower can release different colored lights. In other words, it can also judge the quality and power of a spirit formation. The two of us will construct our formations at the same time. The limit will be 2 hours. Once the time is over, we shall use this flower to determine whose formation is superior. Whoever creates the stronger formation wins. What do you think?
Chu Feng gave no sign of hesitation. Whatever trap might be concealed behind this contest, refusing would gain him nothing. Accepting, however, gave him 2 precious hours in which he could act.
I have no objection.
Good, then let us begin.
Confidence remained etched upon the YinYang Immortal's face. His sleeve swept outward, countless blurred movements appearing around him, as strands of world spirit power began interweaving at astonishing speed. His formation was already taking shape. Chu Feng immediately sat cross-legged. World spirit power surged from him, spreading outward in carefully controlled streams. He wasted no movement and no breath. His concentration sharpened completely upon the formation before him. This opponent was not comparable to the avaricious immortal or the white-browed immortal. The YinYang Immortal was a genuine dragon mark royal cloak world spiritist, whose mastery could threaten Chu Feng directly. Against such a figure, cleverness alone would not be enough. Chu Feng had to treat every formation symbol, every strand of spirit power, and every passing second seriously. Soon, an extraordinary confrontation unfolded not through fists, blades, or overwhelming martial power, but through the invisible laws of world spirit techniques. Both men displayed astonishing control. Formation patterns appeared and connected one after another, complicated yet orderly, profound yet precise. Yet although both were demonstrating exceptional skill, the paths they chose could not have been more different. The YinYang Immortal created neither an offensive formation nor a defensive one. His construction possessed virtually no practical purpose. Every decision was focused on one thing, a lone quality. Layer after layer of intricate structure accumulated beneath his hands, until the formation resembled something less like a weapon, and more like an exquisite treasure fashioned for admiration. He was not merely constructing a formation. He was sculpting with world spirit power. Chu Feng chose the opposite path. What he constructed was a slaughtering formation. But no trace of murderous power could be detected from its exterior. The killing formation was hidden beneath layers of sophisticated structure, disguised so thoroughly that an observer looking upon it would never immediately recognize its true purpose. Chu Feng's decision exposed the difference between their mindsets. The YinYang Immortal used the allotted time to prove superiority. Chu Feng used the same time to prepare for survival. He did not trust his opponent's promise, so constructing a beautiful but useless formation would have meant surrendering 2 priceless hours. If the contest ended in betrayal, Chu Feng wanted something capable of becoming a weapon. The challenge was immense. Concealing a slaughtering formation from an ordinary world spiritist was one matter. Concealing one from another dragon-mark royal cloak world spiritist was something else entirely. If even a single murderous fluctuation leaked outward, the YinYang Immortal might immediately understand Chu Feng's intentions. Therefore Chu Feng could not sacrifice quality for usefulness. His hidden slaughtering formation had to be both powerful and exquisitely constructed. Every layer concealing its true nature demanded even greater precision. Time flowed onward. Neither man broke concentration. Neither slowed. 2 hours that might have felt endless to outsiders vanished rapidly within their duel of spirit power. Then, at the exact 2-hour mark, both formations were completed. Not 1 second early, not 1 second late. That perfect timing revealed more than simple speed. Both men understood exactly how much complexity they could complete within the limit. Such precision required immense experience, calculation, and control. Their contest had become a confrontation between 2 experts who could measure their own abilities almost down to the final breath. The YinYang Immortal's finished formation measured roughly 3 feet in width and 3 feet in height. Brilliant light flowed across its surface, shaping something resembling an elegant flower vase. Refined, radiant, and flawless to the eye, it possessed the aura of an extraordinary work of art. Were such a creation sold at auction, its craftsmanship alone would likely command an astonishing price. Chu Feng's formation was much larger, around 5 meters tall and 2 meters wide, resembling an enormous water vat. Yet its scale did not make it crude. Dragons and phoenixes were carved across its surface through intricate spirit pattern, giving the massive structure an elegant and refined presence. To an ordinary observer, both formations looked like masterpieces. The YinYang Immortal carefully inspected Chu Feng's creation and gave a small nod. There was genuine recognition in that gesture, but not the slightest trace of fear.
You do have some skill.
His confidence remained absolute. In his judgment, Chu Feng's formation was undoubtedly impressive, especially considering Chu Feng's age. But impressive was not the same as superior. The YinYang Immortal still believed his own creation stood on another level. And that confidence made perfect sense. He had deliberately constructed a formation with no concern for combat or utility, allowing every bit of his world spirit power to be concentrated into craftsmanship and quality. Chu Feng, meanwhile, had secretly divided his effort between concealment, lethality, and refinement. On the surface, the YinYang Immortal appeared to possess the advantage.
However, whether you can truly defeat me will be decided by this.
He raised the spirit formation Flawfinder flower and gently placed it upon his own formation. The reaction was immediate. Its transparent petals snapped outward one after another, fastening themselves tightly against the formation, like countless tiny suction pads. Then light erupted. The spirit formation Flawfinder flower shone so brilliantly that even the radiance of the YinYang Immortal's formation was drowned beneath it. Within that dazzling glow appeared wondrous illusions, white clouds drifting across clear blue skies, and beautiful scenery unfolding layer after layer. For a moment, the entire display seemed to represent perfection itself. Chu Feng watched carefully and gave an approving nod. Whatever hostility existed between them, there was no reason to deny the truth. The YinYang Immortal's world spirit techniques were extremely powerful. Judging from this display alone, the avaricious immortal could not compare with him. More strikingly, the YinYang Immortal's world spirit techniques even appeared superior to those of the Compass Immortal. Chu Feng was not facing a man who merely possessed a grand type. He was confronting someone whose reputation was backed by genuine attainment. Seeing Chu Feng acknowledge his skill, the YinYang Immortal let out a light snort. Satisfaction gleamed in his eyes. This was the strength. He was proud of the kind of mastery capable of astonishing the world and making other world spiritists question their own work. And then, a sharp cracking sound suddenly cut through the dazzling scene. It was crisp and unmistakable, like an exquisite flower vase, developing a fracture before shattering apart. The YinYang Immortal's expression changed instantly. His complacency vanished, replaced by shock. Chu Feng, however, smiled. He understood exactly what that sound meant. The point from which the crack had originated was a weakness, a flaw hidden inside the YinYang Immortal's seemingly perfect formation. The formation was undeniably exceptional. Its craftsmanship had been brilliant enough to impress even Chu Feng. Yet the spirit formation Flawfinder flower had still discovered an imperfection buried within it. That single crack changed the atmosphere of the entire contest. Moments earlier, the YinYang Immortal had presented his formation as near perfection. Now his own treasure had exposed its weakness before Chu Feng's formation had even been tested. In a duel decided by quality, even one concealed flaw could become the opening through which certainty began to collapse. And perhaps this was the most dangerous thing about Chu Feng. When facing an opponent stronger and more experienced than himself, he rarely needed that opponent to be completely weak. He only needed a flaw, and now, right before the YinYang Immortal's stunned eyes, one had appeared.